Welcome to the CEO Project Podcast, where Jim Schlexer, author of the best-selling book, Great CEOs Are Lazy, and the founder of the CEO Project, provides ideas and tools to help CEOs of mid to large-sized companies grow and optimize their businesses. Now, let's get started with the show. Welcome, everybody, to the CEO Project. My name is Jim Schlexer, and I am your host. Well, ever since I was a kid, I liked to play video games, and I went to arcades and I played them on, oh my God, an Atari that probably has less power than my Apple Watch. But one of the games I loved was Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I got to build my own amusement park. It was super cool, and I dreamed about the day that I might be able to grow up and, run amusement parks. Well, funny enough, today, we've got somebody who grew up and is living my dream. Today's podcast guest is John Dunlap. John is the CEO of Five Stars Parks and Attractions, a rapidly expanding family entertainment company. He's been in the role since January 2022, and he has led the company's growth from 3 locations to 27. He has a background in amusement and hospitality, having worked at all the cool places you'd want to name. He's based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he is kind of an expert at building those magical opportunities for his clients. John, welcome.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited about this. This is an interesting business. So, what got you into, besides playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, what got you into this business? How'd you end up here?
Well, it's funny. I actually started my career in hospitality. So, in the very early days of Starwood Hotels and Resorts, I was in Six Sigma. If you're familiar with Six Sigma.
Oh gosh, yeah, yep.
Yeah, so I call it like the black hole of opportunity. When they launched Six Sigma, they were looking for guys who had experience in TQM and a variety of other process improvement technologies, and hotels were always a passion, but I didn't go to hotel school or anything like that. So I came in through Six Sigma, fell in love with the business, had some early success, and part of rite of passage in growing careers in hotels is actually working in and running the hotels themselves, not just the processes. So I had a variety of operational opportunities, director of operations, hotel manager, et cetera. And then I decided, as much as I loved the operations side of the business, I was really fascinated by the development side of the business. And so I went back to business school, to Northwestern Kellogg School of Management. And in my second year, I was contacted by a recruiter who clearly didn't understand that my life consisted of like gray and black suits, and instead talked to me about an opportunity as executive director of the San Diego Zoo.
Oh,
Uh,
how cool.
it was
Yeah.
really, really cool. And, after sending the recruiter 2 or 3 other names, I realized there's only one San Diego Zoo. I really should go for this thing. And after about 4 months of interviews, accepted the job and was there for 5 years. And that was the beginning of my sort of parks and attractions life. Once you're in that world, whether it's zoos, aquariums, cultural attractions, theme parks, family entertainment centers, they all overlap and people kind of move back and forth. But that was the start of hospitality, I would say, has kind of
Yeah.
always been.
It's interesting you're applying Six Sigma to a customer experience with a lot of human involvement. I always tell people, humans are about 3 sigma, right? One error per thousand, more or less. Six Sigma is 1 per million. You kind of can't get there with humans. So it's interesting you applied that methodology, trying to, normalize the result you have with humans that are ultimately, we make mistakes sometimes, right?
That's right. And I mean, there's a lot of process in human businesses as well, especially the best
Yep.
human businesses. And so, we worked on a variety of different programs. Like our company was losing. I mean, people had sort of figured out that you could challenge the late cancellation and no-show fees. So a good example there is we just had to put a process in place. And it's really
Hmm.
important. Otherwise, you can never gain back a lost day. So we had to
Yeah.
figure out a way to do a great job of communicating and then ultimately running a process that would allow us to be able to capture that revenue. And that was actually my very first Six Sigma project. So more process than people, but it does apply to both.
Yeah, well, but you've got to count on the people to run the process. We're
100%.
not we're not machines. I
That's
mean,
right.
you can tell me what to do, but I might not do it. That's
That's
always
right.
the problem.
100%.
So tell me a little bit about the business you're in now. Like what? Well, let's start with what. Give me the shape and scope of it a bit, and then I want to dig into some competitive advantage and stuff.
That's great. We're the largest privately owned owner operator of family entertainment centers, and they come really in three different sizes, as we call them. We have um, tourism-based micro amusement parks. So think kind of as large as you can get without being a gated attraction, right? So
Got
that's
it.
kind of the differentiator is you can come in and pay by the attraction. Those we call micro amusement parks. We have 5 locations in Branson, Missouri, 3 in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, as an example. We have a traditional family entertainment center segment, which is kind of think about, as a kid, the outdoor go-karts, indoor arcades, pizza for birthday parties, and a variety of other rides and attractions.
Hmm.
We probably have about a third of our business in that category. And then the other third of our business is what we call indoor theme parks. And we're one of the early, I would say, inventors of this category, if you will, or we've at least bought the earliest inventors of the category. And so we have got 2 substantial brands, Scene 75 and Malibu Jacks. These think kind of 120,000 square foot to 220,000 square foot full indoor amusement parks. I mean, multiple
Wow.
rides, 18 lanes of bowling, indoor go-karting, multiple restaurants. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's about as much fun as you can have not being in a gated theme park.
Interesting. So you have private equity backing on this thing because you're doing
We,
quite a lot
we,
of acquisition there.
but we did
So,
out of the gate. That's right.
okay, yeah, makes sense. So how do you position against, let's say, the gated ones? Because immediately when I think theme parks, I think, SeaWorld, which I know you were at, or King's Dominion, or the Mecca Disney. How does a family, or how do you position for people ours versus that?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not really the same occasion, right?
Okay.
So think an indoor like a birthday party. I would say that let's start with the majority of our visitation comes within about a 33-minute drive time.
There you go. Okay.
So
Got
so
it.
we're very large. We're very busy on days when kids are out of school.
Hmm.
So if you think, the Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend or spring break, between Memorial Day and Labor Day, that whole summer break, that's when our parks are the busiest.
Yeah, got it. Okay. I thought that might be the case. So you got a pretty heavy seasonality in the business.
Depends on the park. Some of our parks
Mm.
are heavily seasonal, others are not very seasonal. So, as an example, our big indoor theme, this is actually what shaped our original strategy. And I know we'll talk about strategy probably at some point, but our original thesis was that there were a lot of these traditional outdoor micro amusement parks, family entertainment centers, whatever you call them, that are second and third gen,
Mm.
and the current owner operator is looking for an exit, and doesn't really know where to go. And there it is, the operations is a specialty, and
Yep.
so there really wasn't a national operator of these parks. And so our first goal was to roll up these, think Myrtle Beach, Branson, Pigeon Forge, the Gulf Shores. So that was where our initial focus was until our first winter was brutally wet and cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we earned almost no income in January and February. And we said, there's a pretty substantial seasonality component. It would be great if we had kind of an indoor hedge. And we started looking at a variety of other parks that were far less seasonal and that actually did better in the winter, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about our parks, our Malibu Jacks and Scene 75 parks, it kind of did 2 things. Number one, it gave us a cash flow in the winter when our outdoor parks were slow. And the second thing is it broadened our geographic locations where we were looking to develop parks, because now we're able to move out of the Sun Belt into the Rust Belt, as an example, because of that competitive advantage of being indoors.
Yeah. Got it. So why don't you just buy everything with things with roofs? Why isn't
Well,
that what I mean, or you're like, I already bought the outdoor ones. I'm not getting out of them.
the
Why
outdoor
doesn't it
businesses,
always have a roof, right?
the outdoor businesses are great businesses in the
Uh,
summer, right?
yeah,
So,
right.
and again, I don't know that we would ever build an outdoor park, but if there's an opportunity for an outdoor park or an indoor outdoor park, one of our substantial parks in Grand Rapids, Michigan, called Craig's Cruisers, has substantial, about 150,000 square feet indoors and 5 acres outdoors. We're
Uh,
still able to close the outdoors and operate quite successfully in the winter. So I think that is a good model, but there's just a lot of synergy, and we're very opportunistic in terms of our acquisition strategy. We're more interested in having a great team with a park that's been around for a long time and an ability to apply our systems and uh, tools and significant management experience to be able to continue to grow these businesses, take them from, something that's been around a really long time and help them achieve their long-term potential.
Yeah, good. Well, it's great you're going to keep the management team. We buy a good business and keep the management team. That's not the normal, well, how people think about private equity investors. So, well, with the rise of the screens, how are you guys positioned? I'm just, is this a category that's growing? Is this, well, like, why this one versus, I know you have history in it, but it feels like it's got some headwinds that might, or maybe I'm wrong about that. So what's going on generally in the market of live entertainment of this flavor?
Right. I thought that kind of when I got in the business, I was really interested to see, gaming is so prevalent and it's such high quality in the home. But I don't know that that's necessarily our differentiator.
Okay.
We don't really advertise in the way that maybe a Dave and Buster's would, uh,
Hmm.
a game occasion, coming out and, eating and playing games. We really focus more on our attractions in our marketing. So, people come out to ride go. It's really in the same way a theme park is more than just one roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
It's we have multiple indoor rides, multiple indoor attractions, food and beverage, and games. And so
Yeah.
people tend to come for the overall experience and then stay to play games. So I would say games is a component of our business, but is not necessarily the driver of our business.
And is the category going up over time?
Oh yes, the
It is.
out-of-home entertainment category, especially sort of during, just during the tail end of COVID, when people were, locked up and looking to get out. I mean, the search for family entertainment centers was at an all-time high, and there's been a lot of development. There's been a lot of innovation, like in a lot of other things, but think about like the old school mini golf. Even Tiger Woods has gotten into
Yeah.
the mini golf world with a upscale food and beverage experience and pretty cool new spin on mini golf. His concept called Pop Stroke. So we have a lot of people getting into the business, and that helps growth of our existing locations as well.
Now is just you made. I was thinking about segmentation here, right? You're kind of family oriented, but is there an adult option here? I'm thinking like Top Golf or bougie mini golf, right? I mean, is there a higher end sort of adult entertainment opportunity here or no?
There's a lot. I mean, I would say probably the most of the competitive landscape right now is in that adult themed date
Mm,
occasion
okay.
space. I mean, you've got concepts in bowling that are really good actually, that are very corporate driven, very adult driven. Pins Mechanical is a good example, but that's largely bar games and bowling and drinking.
Yeah.
We tend to stay out of the adult that race altogether. If you read the book Blue Ocean Strategy, right?
Oh yeah.
Our
Yep.
Blue Ocean, as I would say, we're the predominant owner operator that focuses on families.
Got
So
it.
you won't see any of our locations staying open past 11. We don't appeal to an eating and drinking crowd. We call ourselves firmly family against a Dave and Buster's occasion, which is basically an indulgent date night.
Yeah. Got it. More centered around the bar, really, almost at some level.
And
Yeah.
there's overlap. There's no doubt. People that are fans of family entertainment centers come to both, right? And there are times when they'll come to our location, times when they'll go to Dave and Buster's. The corporate groups want to be able to have multiple options over the years, and so we tend to see the same. There's overlap in the same customer, but our focus is very firmly toward that family.
Yeah, got it. I remember I lived in New England and Canopy Lake Park was a place there was a lot of corporate events and they were all set up to bring your whole team there and nobody from HR got worried because it was so kind of clean and family and
Right.
nobody's gonna get in too much trouble. So it was a great option for a corporate environment.
Sure.
So what about labor? And we've talked to a lot of people that are, dealing with people that, not at the top of the food chain, but they're kind of entry level jobs at some point. How do you deal with get acquiring and bringing people to your organization, and even more dealing with the seasonality within that? How is that? How do you manage that? What's your strategy around that?
Well, I would say that the labor strategy is kind of different in different markets.
Okay.
I think you're right to say labor is a challenge. I would say there is a lot of pressure related to, mandating minimum wage increases.
I was going to go
And
there. Yeah.
and and they're
Hmm.
not small increases. I mean, if you think
Right.
about, an $8 or $9 an hour worker and you give them a dollar increase per year until they hit 15, and you look at what percentage of your business is labor, I mean, it's a material P&L impact. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
On the entry level side, I would say everyone starts somewhere, right? So there's plenty of entry level talent, and really good, young and even long-term career individuals that are looking for a fun job. And that's one thing I think we can offer is, people genuinely enjoy, their time in our locations, right? They're
Yeah.
fun places. Back when I was in hotels, I did a lot of training, new employees, existing employees and one of the things I would say is like work can be fun. It'll never be like going to Disney World, but it can still be fun. And now I could say our job's exactly like going to Disney World.
Without the hour and a half lines.
That's right.
Yeah. I get that. So yeah, make reasonable money and have fun at work. I mean,
That's right.
that's a pretty good pitch for a young person, I think.
That's right.
And just to go to the minimum, mandatory minimum wage. I mean, many places like where I live, it's 15 an hour.
Right.
That has a real impact on the business operations because what percentage of your costs are labor? A third, more?
Yeah, I would say, maybe in the 25% range.
Yeah, okay. So you bump that up significantly. It makes a difference. How have you had to deal with it? Is it just directly it affects price, or is there another move you've been able to make to
I mean,
mitigate that a bit?
it absolutely is something we have to try to outrun in price, and
Yeah.
and you can't just continue to pad because I think a lot of people took large pricing moves kind of during COVID or right
Yeah.
after COVID, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone expected prices to go up, everyone expected service to go down. And I think that's catching up to people right now, right? I mean, it that happened in just about every aspect of the world, right? So
Mhm.
people's spending is pressured right now.
Yeah.
So I think in the end, we've tried to combat that some with pricing, but also some with bundling, offering a variety of different new options that will allow people to come and get an even better value. A good example of that is we're traditionally an a la carte industry. So
Yeah.
you could come and decide I'm going to put $50 on a play card and it's going to decline in value as I go on the roller coaster or do play a game of bowling or the like. Now we offer like bundled wristband products. So much more like a theme park, you can come and play for a half day or play for a full day and play all of our attractions. And that's really quite a good value, but also is a good deal for us.
Yeah. No, I get that because there's breakage inside there, and it's good. Although, I said to somebody the other day, boy, that's an e-ticket ride. And they looked at me like I was talking Swahili to them. So, we're losing something of our cultural heritage. Um, so I got the labor thing. So what's next in this business? Like, where are you going next? Is there a geographic expansion? Is there a whole nother mode of entertainment that you think is available or being developed? Because you're not a build, you're a buy as your strategy, right? You're not going to build
Well,
a
I
new.
would, I would say that's how we started. I would
Okay.
say our strategy right now, we're opportunistic on the buy.
Yep.
But I think we've bought some of the best businesses that were out there and were available. And I would say now probably more of our strategy is to build, uh,
Ah.
at least because there's been a tremendous failure of large retailers, and so the availability of large 120,000 square foot pieces of real estate
Hmm.
uh, are they're more available now than they have been. And I think the landlords understand that a strong, anchor, especially entertainment style
Mhm.
tenant can totally change their centers in some cases. So we right now are actually building two locations, one that will open soft open within the next week and a half.
Hmm.
That's just outside of Dallas, Texas, in North Richland Hills. And then we're also building one outside of Denver in Thornton, Colorado. So
Nice.
these are, again, one of them's 138,000 square feet, and the other one's about 120,000 square feet in really productive centers.
Yeah, I would say nice in-build locations, right? I mean, you're not way out of town in this conversation. It's where the Walmart was or the whatever the other, storefront
Exactly
you went
right.
to. Yeah, that's
Sam's Club for a while was developing right next to Walmart, and that was one of their strategies. Is they felt like it's not the same customer. I think they found out that it was, and so they were closing a lot of the Sam's Clubs and moving them. So
uh,
we're in multiple Sam's Club locations, as an example. At Home Furniture is a brand that's been downsizing some. A lot of the big, Sears and Macy's and other department store retailers are going out of business, and so those boxes are available. I think that's where you'll see the probably the largest development of our style of entertainment uh,
yep.
is those vacant retail boxes.
Now, are you taking your same brand and extending it into these new locations or new brand?
Malibu Jacks is our largest growth brand
Yeah, right.
right now. So yeah, I would say that's where we're focusing. The majority of our attention is building out the Malibu Jack sites.
Got it. Is there any view? I guess you wouldn't want to consolidate the brands because you're kind of a house of brands at this point in terms of a branding strategy, right?
I think there probably is a longer term play of brand
Uh,
consolidation. I don't know that it's consolidation all the way to one.
yeah,
And the real reason for that, there's enough differentiation in at least these three categories that I was talking about that I think that could be confusing. And this whole idea of like remarketing a center that's been around for 30 or 40 years and is below, like for example, Craig's Cruisers. I'm
yeah,
quite sure that the community would riot if we Craig's Cruiser,
yeah,
right? It's such a large staple of that community
yeah,
that I think rebranding it would do more harm than good.
yeah. That's insightful, and
And that really was the concept behind five-star parks and attractions is that we had a shared value, is that, in the end, we want to provide exceptional experiences no matter what the name is on the front door.
got it. So let's just go there for a minute because I've talked before about using SOPs, information technology, and values to build that experience. Do you have a secret sauce about how you deliver that amazing customer experience that, I'm pulling my money out. I want to have a great experience. So I come back and I tell my friends, how do you generate that for a client?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we do spend a lot of time sort of generally talking about that. I mean,
Yep.
especially with the pressures, the people pressures. We try to be really simple with our directives to our team members.
Yep.
One of our mantras is every guest leaves happy. I know as simple as that
Mm,
is, we want to be able to send the message that the customer really is kind of always right. We wouldn't be in existence without our loyal customers, and we want them to have a special experience where they can come and escape and play and put that phone down, as you were talking about before. So we spend a lot of time with just simple messaging for our teams, but also it comes in the design of our locations and the products that we offer. Like I said, we spend a lot of time in like our groups and party business is really successful. And so
mm,
we do a great job of being able to execute when we know who our customer is. They're coming in as a group. We can interface. More often than not, people are just coming in for a couple of hours and swiping, so they don't really have a lot of interaction with our team members. So we spend a bunch of time in our technology, making sure our kiosks are easy to use. It's easy to reload value. And then our games, where we want to stay on top and make sure that we do have the newest and latest and greatest in terms of what's the really real reason they're coming is to ride our rides and play our games. So we spend a lot of time thinking about CapEx and
mm.
making sure that our places are clean and that the games are fresh and new and that there's a reason for our customers to come back.
Yeah, love it. I had Jay Bear on the show a couple of weeks ago, and Jay, what his latest book is about speed. And his idea is this, you don't have to read the book. I'll give you the whole book in like one sentence. He goes, if you give your clients time, they will give you money. And if you cost them time, they will not give you their money, basically. So he talks about all these companies that have added, expedited modes for which they get a premium value out of. Think about Fast Pass and the VIP service at Disney or um, TSA Pre or now Clear. Or so, have you ever thought about speed or sort of something in that category as a way to improve the experience and maybe bump your revenue as well?
It's funny you mentioned that. I would say when I was at the San Diego Zoo, we were one of the first park innovators in this category. This is before
Oh,
parks would offer fast passes, and I mean they didn't exist. And we were offering sort of tours of the zoo,
oh,
right? These
neat.
are just simple cart tours. They were all only for VIPs, so they weren't something you could buy.
Mm.
As a visiting executive from another zoological institution or entertainment attraction or a celebrity or something like that, that we wanted to move around so that we could control sort of the mass chaos of the general public interacting with them. And one of our early insights was, this is like a very special occasion. And that, to your point exactly, we have plenty of people that would come to the San Diego Zoo and only have 3 hours. And so
Yeah.
their goal was, if you went to the San Diego Zoo and walked around all day, you still wouldn't see it, right?
I,
You
I was
need
going
it,
to say you can put a lot of miles on in the San Diego Zoo.
right?
I've done it.
So,
Yeah.
so, so our goal was, how do you create the best experience where you could see the whole park in a couple of hours and then check it off your list? And
Hmm.
so we started launching really special retail, tours of the location on a vehicle. And these, I mean, you're talking about at the time, general admission was, 30, 34.95. We were offering these tours starting at $499 a person.
Woof.
So
Wow.
you're talking about 10x
Yeah.
just a regular entry ticket, and we sold out every single day to the point
Yeah.
where we were offering 50-minute, 60-minute tours, and then up to a half day. And the half day included, you would literally say, not only did I have a chance to see this whole facility, but I got behind the scenes in 2 or 3 locations,
Uh,
got to see the baby tigers or some of the other locations. So yes, to answer your question, it's been something I've been focused on, pretty much my whole career in this business.
yeah. No, and I just wonder, how does that apply to this particular business you're in today? I mean, I
It's,
love what you did there at San Diego, and I'd be like, sign me up for the baby tigers, right? I mean, let's
right.
do this. So, is there an
It is a
opportunity
bit more
here?
difficult here.
Yeah.
It's easier to do with a group segment.
Mm,
It's not, when you're in a theme park and you've got 20,000 people and you've got an hour-long line,
yeah.
right? Then it's easy to be able to hop the line. Here we spend a bunch of our time making sure there's no line, or that the line
Ah,
is as short
got
as
it.
possible, so that
Yeah.
every guest has a great experience. And so you really need the problem to create the solution, right?
Yeah. Yes,
And
true.
so we have spent, and it is on our list. We offer our packages in what we call, best price, best value, and then we're working on kind of best experience.
Okay.
So I would say that, right now our that experience for us is really a wristband that gives you access to all of our attractions, all of our games, and a food and beverage experience, and that would come in the
Yeah.
form of a wristband, but something that's truly, special. Again, it requires the problem, and right now we just don't have that problem.
Yeah, got it. It makes me think about like an escorted, you got an hour and a half, we escorted highlight tour, maybe.
Sure,
I don't know.
that's right.
Now, do people, is there a way to, is your pricing model such that it's unit based, or does it cross over the various units that you have? Like, could I
Uh,
buy Malibu, a wristband for multiple parks, for example?
Right now, again, with the majority of our visitation being within that 33-minute drive time, pretty
Okay,
much our whole pricing strategy is center based.
got it.
I absolutely see a multi-park, and right now the holdback there is really technology.
Yeah,
Is that to load a game card and then be able to use that game card in value across all, 27 of our locations isn't something that we can execute.
no,
Uh,
you got to be on the same system.
Right. And
Which,
the majority of our visitors tend to be within that 33-minute drive time. And even though we have parks that are an hour apart, in many cases, we just don't have a tremendous amount of people bouncing back and forth
yeah,
between all of them like you would in Six Flags, as an example, that Six Flags
yeah,
Cedar Fair merger, which created a lot of opportunity for cross-selling.
yeah, got it. Except for the 12 people that live exactly 30 minutes from each
That's
of
right.
your two parks, right? Otherwise, forget it. So inevitably when it's private equity based, they've got a fund and the fund's got a life. Is there a transaction in your future?
I mean, I think the answer to that would be yes. The question is really how far out. I
Yeah.
mean, we're really only a couple of years in
Okay.
with our current equity sponsor, and we haven't really discussed what the horizon would look like. I think it's when we feel like we've had sufficient value creation and there's enough meat on the bone for the next buyer, right? So that's part of the reason we've been so focused on building out our development model, because
Mm,
that's much more predictable, right? You never
yep.
know when someone's going to decide to sell their family entertainment centers. We don't want to be pressured to buy anything other than the best. And so to the extent that we know we've built a team and built a model that allows for development of one, two, three of these a year, which we believe we can. I think that will determine kind of when we start to really ramp that up, that'll determine when it's the right time to exit.
Yeah, I love it. And I actually think, an organic and inorganic growth strategy, meaning we control it and then we buy when we can, is
That's right.
it's a way healthier strategy for growth anyway. So, but I do think you plug into the whole, baby boomers aging, shedding assets because their kids don't want to run whatever the heck they've got. I mean, you're plugging into
Right.
a great sort of macro trend, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
The question is just how many of those businesses are, healthy and growing, and
Yeah.
I think that we look at acquisitions. We've done a really, I think, good job and have got great tools at mapping out the United States or where we believe that we could build new centers. So we've got a really good roadmap for where, like I said, where our own expansion could be. The acquisition question comes in, is there somebody who's already the dominant player in a market where we want to be? And if the answer is yes, then it makes sense to look at acquisitions there.
Yeah, that's exactly how we talk to CEOs about it. We go, look, make the map of where you want to be, and then you've got buy, build, partner as a strategy to enter. If there's somebody there, maybe we buy them. If not, we
That's,
build our own, right? So yeah,
that's right.
that's great. Um, John, this was awesome. Okay, so here's maybe the last question. You own a bunch of entertainment facilities. What do you do for fun?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I really love everything related to the water.
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of my free time out. I've got three kids, so maybe not doing as much water sports myself, but teaching all of them and towing them behind our boat to ski or wakeboard or tube or anything like that. I love to be out in the sun. Our family we love to travel. And then anything related to fitness. My youngest son's a runner, so in order to spend time with him, I guess I'm a runner.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's anytime I can get outdoors and play with the kids, in any regard, that's my hobby at this moment.
Love it. Awesome. John, thank you so much. This was really fascinating, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Enjoy the conversation.
And for those of you listening, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the CEO Project Podcast. Thanks for listening to the CEO Project Podcast. We'll see you next time. Be sure to subscribe to get all the future episodes and check out our website, www.theceoproject.com.